topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning. I'm sorry. Good afternoon, South Florida. We have 8 shows that we do across the country. Some of them are in the morning. So, in fact, we've already had one show this morning. Thank you so much for joining our TV show today. And you have been, I guess, ever since Hurricane Ida, we have gotten so many requests to bring on either a public insurance adjuster or an attorney that does property damage claims. And last year we had a great property damage claim attorney, and we have been able to bring him back. He's also done our Tampa show we do. Let me welcome you, Chad Robinson, attorney Chad Robinson. Good afternoon, Chad.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me on today's show.
Oh, we love having you on, and Chad will be back with us again next month as we're going to be preparing for hurricane season. And I got to tell you, I shouldn't say this, but it just seems like it just every year gets a little bit closer to the South Florida area. We've had some times where it looked like it might be coming towards us, but it didn't happen. But, a lot of people don't know what public adjusters or attorneys do. We wanted an attorney. And I got to tell you, with all the markets we do, attorney Chad Robinson explained it the best. So I'm going to start off with that. Chad, what is the difference between a public insurance adjuster and attorney like yourself?
Sure. Well, a public insurance adjuster is a professional licensed by the state who's able to come in and help adjust your claim with you. You pay them a contingency fee. There's no out-of-pocket cost. And these people are trained to create estimates, speak the language of the insurance company, and deal with the insurance company for you. The difference with an attorney is an attorney has the ability to take it to the next step if necessary, and hopefully it's not necessary, which would be a lawsuit. They have that extra firing tool. But I think that it's important to note that adjusters and attorneys work hand in hand, meaning I don't think that one is exclusive of the other. And I think that a team effort is always best in order to make sure that the policyholder is put back together the way they should and get the benefits that they're owed.
I got to tell you, I love the way you explained that, because our other adjusters and attorneys across the country always end up putting the other one down, and you're a real gentleman about it.
Well, I appreciate that, but it's not me being political. I know many public insurance adjusters who do claims around the country, and they're a real asset to the claim. They prepare everything, they preserve the evidence. They ensure that the homeowner or business owner is properly taken care of. They're there for them. Not only in our business are we obviously there to make a living, we're obviously there to get the structure put back or the personal property put back and get money for that. But above and beyond that, we're there to be with our policyholder client during a really bad time of need. And I never take that for granted. And a lot of the public insurance adjusters that I know don't take that for granted either, that there's that separate element that really it's just a humanistic element that these people have their lives destroyed by a force of nature, perhaps, and you're there to help, and that shouldn't be lost by anyone.
Let's talk about your firm and what you do.
Sure. So my firm is, we have two offices. One is located in Pensacola. The other office is in Boca Raton, Florida. But we service all 67 counties of Florida with helping those who have been wronged by their insurance company. Meaning if you have a legitimate claim and it's been wrongfully denied or it's been underpaid by your insurance company, you have the ability to get representation. You have the ability to get consultation. Whether you're not even looking for representation, at least go to someone like me who knows the answers to the questions that you're likely to ask, so that you have that knowledge that you can do whatever you need to do that's best for your family. And when I say I service 67 counties, I really do. I go all the way from, Santa Rosa County in the Panhandle, and I've handled cases from there all the way down to Monroe County in the Keys. And I just really like to help Floridians. I've been a lifelong Floridian myself, and I have an altruistic view of what I do, and it's very selfishly fulfilling to give someone the money they need to put their roof back on their house, to put their life back together. It's a very fulfilling, selfishly, and look, certainly I run a business as well, and I would like to succeed. So, I don't think that, I think that bears commenting, because, you just, otherwise it would be disingenuous. But I really like what I do and been doing it for a very long time.
What I love about what you do, Chad, is, boy, it's so tough going up against these insurance companies because they want to pay the least amount possible. And I got to tell you that you don't want to get in a negotiation position. I would want an attorney like yourself.
Well, look, I believe that over the course of my career and the thousands of claims that I've been involved with over that career, adds a lot of value and experience in not only getting the results that a client needs, the best outcome possible, but also making sure that we're doing it in the correct way, and strategically putting the client in the best position possible is always what I try to do. So yeah, you need someone in your corner, because it is tough going against these insurance companies. They've been around for a long time. They have deep pockets. They are a for-profit business, so they are in it to make sure that that their bottom line is very good. Now, that's not to say that everyone on the insurance side is somehow bad or there's issues with them, but at the same time, and I'll tell you, I just had an experience with an insurance company adjuster today that was amazing. They accurately looked at and evaluated the claim and paid my client exactly what they needed, and there wasn't any pushback. And that's how the process should be, really. But if the process is not like that, which it is in large part in the state of Florida, then yes, you need someone in your corner to help you.
And I know that a lot of people probably have never even read their homeowners policy, and that's really important to know.
Yeah, there's a lot of obligations within a policy of insurance that people don't know until it's too late. And so there's a section called post-loss obligations, meaning after a loss has occurred, what are your obligations as the policyholder? And that could be a myriad of things. One is making sure that your property is protected and that no further damage occurs, and you're making some reasonable and necessary repairs to the property over that time period. Additionally, you want to give prompt notice to the insurance company. And that word prompt has been litigated to exhaustion with regards to Hurricane Irma. But it's really important that you give your insurance company notice as quickly as possible, meaning if you discover a loss, you report it to the insurance company. It's so incredibly important that the insurance company has an ability to look at the damage very close in time to the loss. That will help you with the claim.
You know, people think of property damage claims, hurricanes, but there's so much more than just hurricanes.
Yeah, there certainly is. Your homeowner's insurance policy covers a lot of different things. It has in the past. Every year, the insurance companies do a interesting job of kind of carving out some exclusions that you may not know of until it's too late. But generally speaking, you know, any of the acts of God, so to speak, are ones that should be covered. Tornadoes, any weather events, fire, unless it's incendiary or fraudulent, water leaks, pipe leaks, sinkholes, if you have that actual coverage, are supposed to be covered. You know, certainly the roof is supposed to be covered, but with certain limitations. But the policies are, the way that I describe policies to my clients are, you imagine a full pizza pie with all the coverage that they're throwing at you. Well, nowadays, what they're doing is they're removing certain parts. They're removing the pepperoni and the crust and the cheese. And then all that's left is kind of a skeleton of what it used to be. And that is in large part due to the environment that we have in the state of Florida. Probably a little puffery on the part of the legislature with regards to the fraud that's occurring, because I'll tell you, I've been in the business since 2008. I haven't seen that much fraud. I think when I was on the defense, I prosecuted maybe 2 or 3 fraud cases, or not prosecuted myself, but actually reported them. So I don't think it's as rampant as everyone says it is. But the legislature definitely did a number on the consumers and the business owners in the state of Florida, in hopes that the insurance companies would come back to the state.
Well, I think, is mold and mildew covered also?
Yeah, mold and mildew are covered. Now, mold and mildew are, well, I would say mold is covered for the most part under most policies. There are some policies that exclude mold, like State Farm has some policies that exclude mold. But mold is only covered if there was a covered loss, meaning if there was a water loss that's covered and it develops into mold, perhaps that would be covered. But just mold in and of itself developing may not be covered. So again, those are important instances to ask a professional like me or a public insurance adjuster to see if it's something that can be pursued, can be covered by your insurance company. And it's important that if the claim is not something that should be covered by the insurance company, don't make the claim. Because if you make the claim and it's inappropriate and it's improper, you know, besides criminal sanctions that or criminal offenses that you could be guilty of, above and beyond that, just civil speaking, it counts against you on your underwriting history. Meaning insurance companies are going to see how many claims you make over a course of a period of time. And that makes you a higher risk for insurance in the future, which could potentially have more premiums.
Seems like here in the state of Florida, we're getting less and less insurance companies, companies going under. What's the status right now?
Well, so we just had a really big private insurance company get sent into liquidation, called United Property and Casualty Insurance Company. It was one of the largest in the state of Florida, and they just went into liquidation, leaving thousands of Hurricane Ian victims just in the lurch. I think that a total since 2020 of 9 insurance companies have gone under. Depending upon who you speak to is probably the reasons for it. But nonetheless, you know, there was a lot of mismanagement that I personally observed. There was a lot of interesting risk underwriting in UPC that I personally observed. But either way, the result is that thousands of homeowners are now left without insurance, without the ability to get insurance because of the fact that no other insurance carrier is going to take them with hurricane damage, and they can't repair their hurricane damage without actually getting their claim benefits paid. Now, what happens in the state of Florida, once an insurance company goes under, like UPC, is the Florida Insurance Guarantee Association, better known as FIGA, takes over. And FIGA is an agency with the state of Florida, for lack of better terms, that the insurance companies will yearly pay into for the benefit of having their claims paid if they go under. Additionally, I think that there's also a tax assessed to the consumers of Florida as well for FIGA. So what happens is right now, UPC, I think, went into liquidation a couple weeks ago. From that point forward, for about, I would say, 3 to 6 months, probably closer to 6 months, there's nothing that's done. All that's done is the transition of the documents and the assignment of adjusters from FIGA to these UPC claims. And look, admittedly so, if you have 90 to 100,000 claims or policies that are being transferred, they need time to assess it. And that's been one of the problems ongoing with some of the more recent insurance companies that have gone under. So, the insurance company, a lot of homeowners are going to be left without insurance for this next hurricane season. They're going to be left without possibly houses during this next hurricane season. And it's really sad. It's very, very sad. I've been over to the West Coast since Hurricane Ian and up where Hurricane Nicole hit last year. And it's really sad. These people are in trouble, and there's nothing we can do except wait until FIGA takes over. And thank God we have FIGA. If we didn't have FIGA, these people would be very out of luck.
So that's why I'm still seeing a lot of blue tarps on the roofs.
Well, right. In my experience, and again, I've been practicing since 2008 in this type of law. I started working with the insurance companies, and then in 2014, I switched to the policyholder side. In my experience, I've never seen a hurricane handled like this. And I think it has to do with a lot of different issues. I think that the damage is concentrated to one really local area, and there's only so many adjusters for the insurance company that can help. And I think that the insurance companies may not have been ready for the destruction that was going to be caused by these hurricanes so close together. I think that it's just kind of adding up with the volatility that's been in our state regarding the insurance markets over the last couple of years. That being said, the claims are being turned much slower than they should be. And that's in large part why you see those blue tarps. That's in large part why you see the damage that's still there five months or so later.
So what's the current status now with Hurricane Ian? I mean, is everybody just kind of at a standstill now?
Well, thankfully, there's still insurance companies that are viable in the state of Florida that are paying claims. I've seen them paid, so I know that they're getting paid, but some are not. Some are fighting more than they probably should. I've seen neighbors have almost the same damage, different insurance companies. One is paid, one is not paid. And this kind of inconsistency are kind of the issues that are not necessarily exposed and shown to everyone, but they're there. Sometimes it matters the adjuster on the file for the same insurance company, and that's not how it should operate. I'm hopeful that once FIGA takes over, the UPC people will be taken care of. But for now, there's other insurance companies that are just not taking care of their folks, their policyholders that pay the premium, pay thousands of dollars. And we were all promised that the premiums would go down if, these certain regulations and statutes were changed. However, we haven't seen that.
Actually, because one of our experts is one of the biggest law firms in Florida. K. Bender Rimbaum, and they're saying that rates, because now there's less and less homeowners insurance companies, that the rates are going up.
Well, sure. There's the insurance companies have gotten exactly what they wanted out of the Florida legislature. And their indication was, if this happens, which they did away with assignment of benefits, which is when you have a mold mitigation company and you sign away your ability to sue, and they're able to go on your behalf and sue the insurance company. This is one of the things that legislature wanted to quash, and understandably so, because like some things, this was abused I don't think it was to a large degree. I think it was abused to a small degree. Nonetheless, they did away with it. And that was supposed to help bring premiums down. It has not. They have done away with the right for an insurance policyholder to recover their attorney's fees and costs as part of their claim success, which they're not able to do anymore. They've done away with that. That was supposed to lower premiums. The lowering and all of these statutes that took away rights of homeowners, rights of business owners, were supposed to attract additional insurance companies to come into the state of Florida, saying you're safe now. Okay, come in and participate in this market. And really, I don't see the attraction that it was supposed to draw. The only real one that has been in much success is Slide Insurance. Slide Insurance took over some policies from St. John's, which went under, and UPC, which went under, as well as underwriting a lot of premiums last year. So there has been, the good news is there's actually been insurance companies that have been added even during this chaotic process that we're in, this amazingly horrible insurance market. This Slide Insurance has been able to succeed and post profits on a quarterly basis. So, I think that they're right. I think Kate Bender is right, that's one of the reasons why the premiums are up. But there were things that were done in a drastic way that were supposed to lower premiums, and we have not seen that yet.
I want to mention that you also, most of your business is property damage claims, but you are also handle personal injury as well.
Yeah, my law firm handles pretty much anything to deal with insurance. I've read thousands of types of policies, and personal injury claims deal with insurance and going after insurance companies to pay for, again, what is rightfully owed, the compensation that is rightfully owed for your injuries, for your property damage, for whatever it may be. And so that's definitely something that the law firm, our law firm handles. Again, that's something. My specialties are the same specialties that I had when I was on the defense side.
I got to tell you, some people don't realize that we're talking about residential, but you also handle commercial too.
Absolutely. So we just completed a claim, and so not only do we work in Florida, but we also work in other states. We've completed a settlement of a very large 150,000 square foot shopping plaza in Texas, and we have a very large building in Orlando right now as a result of Hurricane Ian and Hurricane Nicole. I think the commercial property is very attractive to me for several reasons. One is because it's very interesting because it's very, very different from residential claims, and also it's on a massive scale. So you're dealing with very interesting topics, very perhaps interesting legal topics, choice of law, venue, things like that. But yeah, look, my goal is to help as many people as I can. If you own a 1,600 square foot house versus a shopping plaza or what have you, and everything in between, that's who I want to help.
Well, it's amazing. This morning we did our Dallas show this morning, and Dallas, though they don't get hurricanes, they get tornadoes. And everyone I was talking to today were talking about the tornado. I guess it happened several weeks ago, and how it tore up a lot of shopping centers. So depending on the part of the country, there can be all kinds of damage. And I'm so glad we have you because, again, I deal with people in this field across the country. We're in 8 other markets. And the way you explain things is probably the same way when you sit down with a homeowner with their insurance and explain to them what you do. We are so blessed to have you, Chad. We're talking to attorney Chad Robinson, and though he's right here in South Florida, he also handles claims all over Florida, as well as now I know that you do Texas now. So with these legislative changes that are going, first of all, how do you feel about them?
Well, I don't know yet. I don't know how I feel about them, but what I do see is that it's drastically changed the rights, taking away the right for attorney's fees against insurance companies was a leverage tool that the consumers had to go up against these huge insurance companies, these multi-billion, possibly trillion-dollar companies. This was the only type of leverage that they had in addition to some bad faith statutes. And now with the removal of that to concentrate more on business-friendly Florida, which I'm all for again, but I think that there's a balancing that needs to be done instead of just wiping away everything. And that wasn't done. So I'm concerned. I'm concerned with myself as a lawyer. I'm concerned with myself as a homeowner and a business owner. And I think that there should be a lot of concern throughout the state as to why are all these absolutes happening instead of some balancing happening. So I'm concerned. I don't know how it's going to affect things just yet because of the fact that the claims that it would affect have not necessarily matured yet, or ripened or come to fruition yet. I don't know. I don't have any claims that would be affected by the statute just yet. But the insurance companies got the elimination of attorney's fees, which they've been going for a long time, and I understand their position. I think again there's a balancing test that should have been done, but even further than that, they stood on the House floor or the Senate floor in the state of Florida and they said this is not going to apply retroactively, meaning the Hurricane Ian and Nicole victims, if they had to hire a lawyer, you'd be able to get your attorney's fees and costs separate. You're okay. Don't worry, hurricane victim, you're okay. But what happened is the insurance company said, no, that's not how we think it should be. So now they're challenging it to go back in time and to see if they can eliminate attorney's fees for Hurricane Ian and Nicole victims, should they have to go into litigation. And again, it's on if they should have to go into litigation, but you should have the opportunity to have the full rights that Floridians have had for 100 years or so in the state of Florida. This statute that they eliminated, the attorney's fee statute, has been around for 100 years.
Wow.
And I'm not going to be hurt as an attorney, right? So I'm not saying this on behalf of myself, really. I'm saying this on behalf as a homeowner or as a consumer in the state of Florida. Consumers are going to be hurt by this.
Well, we've just gotten 6 different texts all wanting to know how you charge.
So we charge strictly on contingency fee basis, meaning it's the same thing as as a personal injury lawyer, that I don't get paid unless you do for an insurance claim. And certainly we try to recover our fees and costs separately pursuant to the statutes that are available to us now. But in the future, that won't be available. So, that is, but the good thing is that homeowners, business owners will still be able to get really quality representation by myself, as well as a lot of the colleagues that I have who do what I do, for no out-of-pocket costs, which is something that I think is really important, because frequently I'll get people who will call me and they'll say, well, I wish I could afford a lawyer, but I can't. And I say, well, you're in luck, because there's nothing to afford. We have this ability to go and advance our costs. But again, it's now fighting insurance companies. If you have to fight them, it's now fighting insurance companies with, like, instead of having both arms and both legs, you basically have one arm now. So
Chad, help me to understand this. Why would somebody that has never negotiated a claim before, and they have a chance to hire a professional, an attorney like yourself, they don't have to write you a check when they sit down, why would everybody not come to you or come to an attorney?
I think it has to do with two things. One, I think it's education. I think that still, even though the news and some other things have made the insurance market and quote unquote issue an issue, that many people still don't know that once a claim happens to them, what are the proper steps to take? What's the availability to them? Frequently, I find that policyholders are told by their insurance companies, you don't need to hire a public adjuster. You don't need to hire an attorney. And
sure
that's just completely wrong. Other insurance companies have anti-public adjuster endorsements, which have been found in many cases to be unconstitutional. But again, these are the insurance companies that you pay are telling you, no. That's like if the cops arrest you and saying, no, you don't need an attorney. You're good. Which is absolutely wrong. And obviously, I'm not necessarily comparing. I know that it's a drastic comparison, but it's kind of in the same vein. So I think that one is education, that they're just told the wrong thing, and two is fear. I think that a lot of people have this understanding or interpretation or assumption that hiring an attorney is this big daunting task, and that it's very serious if you hire an attorney, and sometimes it is. But you don't have to hire an attorney if you talk to them. You just talk to them and see if it's something you want to pursue. So I think that the fear and the education are the only two reasons stopping people.
Because it doesn't make much sense when they have an opportunity. They don't have to write you a check. And the fact is, you get paid on basically performance.
Yes, we are all on the same team. If we are successful, we are successful together. If
Right.
we are not successful, we are not successful together. And so, there is some type of team camaraderie, especially on claims that go on way too long. I mean, there's some that get dragged out, and you get to know your client on a personal level, and it starts to affect you. And I've had that many times. So that's the good side and the bad side of the business. Is that's why I wanted to work with policyholders, because it was much more personal. I got to know I get to know my clients on a personal level, and it's not just some institution that I'm dealing with.
I got to tell you, with our Dallas show, we actually had a business that there was nothing wrong with their plumbing, but the next store next to them, which was a restaurant, had plumbing problems that flooded, and it went into their business. And the reason that I bring that up is he tried to do it himself, thinking he was going to save some money. And this was a caller called up and he said, tell people that they should hire an attorney. He didn't say a public adjuster. He said an attorney, because now you've kind of skipped over one of the things you go through. And when you have an attorney with these insurance companies, you really get their attention. But he said the biggest mistake he made was trying to do it himself, and he wished he would have hired someone to do it for him.
Yeah. Again, sometimes claims are straightforward. Sometimes you have a straightforward claim. But the question is, do you want to find out if you have a straightforward claim or not the hard way? Some things are convoluted, some things become convoluted. And so I agree with whoever said that, is that it's important to, at the very least, find out the information from someone who knows. That could be an attorney, that could be a public insurance adjuster, but someone who knows and is able to give you some type of unbiased opinion as to how you should proceed. Now, someone listening to this may say, well, how is it unbiased? If you do what you do, aren't you trying to convince you have a client? There's been many times that I turn away clients. And there's been many times that I say, look, this is not a case for an attorney. This is something you can handle on yourself. Or this is something you can handle on yourself. I could be a resource for you. Give me a call. And that's just to make sure that people who are going through a tough time know that there's someone who they can call. So yeah, I agree with you. I think that it has to deal with the fact that people assume they know, and they don't know sometimes what they don't know.
Well, like I said, I am so glad that we have you. For the people,
I don't do my own surgery.
What's that?
I don't do my own surgery.
Yeah, right. Now, for those of you who are watching us on TV, we're scrolling Chad's phone number, his office number. For those who are listening on radio, Chad, give everybody your phone number and your website address.
Sure. My phone number is 786-519-2423. And the website is chadrobinson.com is probably the easiest one to go to. But you can, I'm available on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all of those good things as well. But, look, my hope is that at least people learned or are learning from something we're saying here today, that they have the right information and that they know there's someone out there they can call if they do have a problem.
We never know when we're going to have an emergency. And someone had just written, what if somebody breaks into your house and causes damage? You also handle that also. Yeah,
those are, vandalism is frequently covered under insurance policies. So that, that is something that would be something to look at. I mean, I know that usually the breaking and entering is not covered, but any damage that would occur as a result of the breaking and entering would be covered. For example, if someone comes into the house and goes through all the drawers and ends up breaking something in the drawer, that would be covered. But the actual window that they broke would not be covered. That's sometimes how they delineate it. But vandalism would definitely be covered, and that's under that type of theft may be covered, may not be covered. Again, you have to check your policy. They don't necessarily sneak. I would not say they sneak exclusions in there, but they put exclusions in there that they don't necessarily explain. And that's why, you need to have a good agent who will explain to you your coverage. You need to know someone after the fact who you can call to help you.
Is there, and first, I was bringing up about the phone numbers. You never know when you're going to have an emergency. And I want people to write Chad's phone number down and keep it, because we know we have thousands of homeowners that watch this show. And God forbid something happens tomorrow and you go, why didn't I write Chad's number down? So you can watch it. We're scrolling it on the screen, but Chad, give your phone number again for those who are listening on radio.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's, again, the phone number is 786-519-2423. We also have a dedicated text line, which means that if you don't want to call, you just want text, you just want to have someone be on the other side, we have a dedicated text line. Now, this is not something you can call, but that number is 786-788-7187. That's 786-788-7187.
You know, we used to do the radio show together, and we were kind of limited. We only had Palm Beach and Broward. Now we have Dade, we've got Martin County, we have basically probably about 150-mile radius that are listening to the show. So just remember that Chad will cover actually anything in Florida. It doesn't just have to be South Florida. So keep that in mind. Chad, what if someone, when would they contact you?
They would contact
They have a leak.
I'm sorry?
Let's just say they have a real bad leak and it's ruined their cabinets and floors.
As soon as they have a question, or as soon as they have damage that they're unsure if they should make a claim or not, you know, that's something that they could definitely call me to find out. But, you know, again, the reason why you want to act as quickly as possible is because you have a duty to act as quickly as possible. So if you notice damage and you're concerned and you're not sure if you want to make an insurance claim, or you are going to make an insurance claim and want advice too, that's the moment that you call, you pick up the phone and you find out. And you know, I don't charge for I don't charge for conferences, consultations, and I try to get you the best information possible as quickly as possible.
Well, Chad, I got to tell you, it's been wonderful having you back on with us again. And Chad will be back with us again next month. We'll be getting closer to hurricane season, and maybe we can talk about some of the things to prepare for. Again, attorney Chad Robinson. Chad, thank you so much for coming on with us today. It's been really informative.
Thank you, Steve.
That was attorney Chad Robinson. And please, I definitely endorse him. I've always been so impressed with him, how he does. We're going to be back again with you next week with more Ask the Experts. And we will have our family attorney on. She's been with us for 6 years now. So join us again next week for more Ask the Experts. And we will see you next week. Thanks, Juan. Great.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.